football, we can only be at one place. We are here at La Bombonera for Boca Juniors against Lanus on match day 20 of Argentina's Liga Profesional de Football. Boca's somewhat patchy form this season might see them start the night in 10th in the league, but another home win here on Tuesday against Colo Colo booked a spot in the Copa Libertadores last 16 ahead of time, and now attention can turn to climbing up the table. One of those sides currently above them are the visitors tonight, Lanus, who are unbeaten in 3 and sit in 6th, knowing that a win here could take them as high as 4th in the table, and they'll be hoping to take advantage to a number of changes in the Boca lineup. Win in the week in Libertadores came at the cost of a number of injuries. Javier Garcia starts in goal, Roncaglia right back, Valdez, Valentini and Barco, the youngster, complete the back 4. Midfield 3 of Paul Fernandez, Christian Medina and Ekki Fernandez. Oscar Romero starts on the right, Juan Ramirez on the left, and Dario Benedetto goes through the middle. A total of 7 changes from the starting 11 that started against Colo Colo just a few days ago. As I say, a number of those enforced due to injuries picked up during that game. Lanus, on the other hand, only make one change from a team that won 2-1 away against Atlético Tucumán last weekend. Juan Sanchez Miño comes in for Julio Soler on the left side of the defence. Acosta in goal, Cáceres, Aguilar and Lema completing the back 4. Belmonte, Loasa and Esquivel in the midfield. In form, Pedro de la Vega on one flank, Orozco on the other, and Leandro Diaz through the middle. So match day 20 in the LPF. Boca against Lanus. We don't have time to show you that table. We will do so at half-time, but as I already said, Boca in 10th, Lanus in 6th. Two sides looking for the 3 points that will push them higher up among that top 10. And a wonderful atmosphere as ever. The teams making their way out onto the pitch. And with that, I can bring in our play-by-play commentator for the evening. It's a pleasure to be joined once again by Klaus German.
Thank you so much, Peter. The action continues in Argentina. Of course, we're not going to have any games tomorrow, but we are going to have mini games tonight and, of course, Monday as well. Boca, as you said, so far located 10th on the table. And it hasn't been a spectacular season for Boca, even though internationally they've so far achieved their first objective, which is pretty much qualify to the round of 16 of the Conmebol Libertadores. But a team that domestically hasn't really shown maybe its true phase. If there's one thing there's very little in soccer is patience, as far as giving certain processes or certain managers time to work. Especially in a team like Boca, you really don't have much time. I mean, you have to get the results. And Almirón didn't start off with the right foot. If we go back and we start tracking the results, especially the first couple of games, a couple of shady results, the game really not, in this game, the team not really finding its true form. So, honestly, I think little by little it has begun to take a shape, to take its form. It's a team that little by little has encountered with its plan or its intent to have a certain type of game, which is going forward. We know that's what Almirón usually tries to implement in their teams. Teams always going forward, trying to pass the ball forward. None of those passes backwards. Possession matters when you play forward, not when you're just playing in the back. So little by little, Boca has been getting the results. They did have a -1 last week against Arsenal. Also, if we start analyzing, Peter, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me on that one, and we start looking at all the results that Arsenal has been able to get at home, some of them are kind of impressive. You know, defeating teams that, on paper, it seemed almost impossible. They become very strong at home. So it could be a little rock on the way. Boca now with the chance to getting themselves back up. I mean, you start looking at the table, like you said, 10th. But if they do manage to get 3 points, they could probably go up there between 7th and 8th. So we'll see what happens. But definitely a team that has little by little found its true form. On the other hand, a very impressive Lanus, a team that last season really didn't do much. So far, 6th with a record 9-5-4, 32 points. Potentially can go up to 35, equalizing the line of Estudiantes, who's currently at 35, sitting 4th. So we're talking about a team that if they manage to get the 3 points here tonight in La Bombonera, they can go top 5. So I don't think that's a bad incentive. I don't think that's bad motivation, Peter. Hopefully, we get a good game here tonight.
Yeah, as you say, for those reasons, I think in theory we should have a good game on our hands. Lanus, I think, were a side that badly underperformed in truth last season, found themselves dragged into that relegation mix as a result, but have started this season afresh. They brought in some very useful and important players with experience. Christian Lemmer in centre-back, Leandro Diaz to lead the line and take that responsibility off the ageing legs of Pepe Sand, who's now increasingly the guy they look to off the bench late on in games, but they've been two very important figures there to what otherwise was a talented young squad that they still draw on, and the core is still there, the likes of Belmonte, De La Vega, Orozco, Esquivel. So we're now probably seeing what we should have seen from Lanus in terms of a team in that top 10 and looking to push on. And this is a great opportunity for them because it's a Boca team, as you said there, Klaus, that are still struggling to really put together a run of results under Jorge Almiron, and this one is a tough game, not just because Lanus have found form this season, but because that win in midweek in the Libertadores against Colo-Colo did come at a price when you look at the injuries they sustained on top of injuries that were already there, the likes of Advíncula missing this game, being joined by Frank Fabra, Langoni having just come into the side, he's now out, Merentiel also picking up an injury. So it was a pretty bruising encounter that has cost Jorge Almiron a number of the first team players, a number of the starting 11 that he probably would have gone with here tonight.
Ladies and gents, everything little by little seems to take its place. Aranda Chinique will be in charge of bringing justice into the match. Of course, Lanus will play with their traditional away jersey, all white. Another game going on at the same time so far, no goals between Platense and Tigre. Ladies and gents, the action kicks off as we continue round 20 in Argentina. Alongside Peter Coates, I'm Klaus German, and this is Boca versus Lanus. Both teams looking for the 3 points. Boca looking to get in the top 10. Lanus looking to get in the top 5. Should be an interesting game out here in La Bombonera. First possession of the match towards Medina. Gets clear forward. So for Lanus in possession, Pedro de la Vega getting involved as well. This is Cristian Lema picking up his head, decides to shift the ball from left to right. Good control by the former Racing Club. Here's Juan Cáceres quickly finding de la Vega between the marking of 2. Gets away from Oscar Romero, decides to back up the game once again towards Lema. Belmonte. Good couple of touches here from Lanus in the beginning, now losing possession. The recovery down the middle, but quickly losing possession once again. This is Loaiza going for it, but it looks like there was a previous action, and this ball should belong to Boca.
It's going to be interesting to see how Boca go about this game when you look at the changes they've been forced into. We're so used to seeing in recent years Boca play with that pace and width out wide. Sebastian Visha, who won't be playing for the club again after his court case over the last couple of weeks. But he's been a permanent fixture on one side. They've usually tried to play with pace on the other, whether it's with Langoni or Briasco or whoever. But when we look at this midfield today and the likes of that man who just went down there, Juan Ramirez, being asked to play on the left, he's not that type of player. He'll usually look to play far more centrally and playing that central midfield. Oscar Romero we saw in the lineup before the game on that right, but as we see here floating in behind is that number 10. So it's a very different lineup in terms of the tactics to how Boca have to go about this game than we're used to seeing.
Here's Romero. I mean, at the end of the day, also, we know what it means to the Boca fans as far as playing the Copa Libertadores. So I think that the first objective for them this semester was to try to get through. I think it's going to be more of an achievement, especially if River doesn't manage to qualify, just because, I mean, you know it, Peter, and I know it as well. Sometimes what happens between one and the other obviously has an effect. So the fact that Boca might be getting through, River might not, it just depends what happens in the last match week. But that's their main objective for the first semester, is pretty much trying to get into the round of 16. Obviously, things can change afterwards. So far, locally, hasn't been good, but it hasn't been good from the start. I mean, obviously, getting a couple of interesting results, but as you said, not managed to get a good, nice streak of 3-4 games. At least unbeaten hasn't happened yet. And it's a team that also hasn't completely found its true self. It's working on it, but we're still seeing players shift from week to week. Sometimes it's confusing, and we start looking at the games that Boca has played in the last couple of matches, and obviously the goals have arrived from different players at different times, but it hasn't been Boca, the team, controlling those games 100%. It's been those tough wins that you really have to fight for it. So hopefully we see them get better with Almirón as time goes by, but so far still lacking consistency. I think that should be the overall thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, I think River's result will probably mean that they will go through to the last 16 as well, just so that Boca won't have that extra little thing to one-up their rivals. Not that it really matters, but I think in terms of expectations, it's an even more valid point when you consider when Almirón came in. Absolutely, the first half of the year would have been at that stage, let's just get through to the next stage of the Libertadores. In the second half of the year, we focus on that and the Copa de la Liga, because by the time he had come in this competition, really their hopes of lifting this title had more or less gone as well. So the expectation had to be really, let's just try and find some form in the LPF, finish as high as we can, and first and foremost continue in the Libertadores. And he already ticks that box ahead of the final group game. So you can't criticise, I don't think, Almirón too much. Yes, they haven't found a huge amount of momentum throughout all of those games. There's been ups, there's been some downs, like the Super Clásico defeat, but he's still gradually finding his way. He's had a lot of injuries to contend with as well, and I think he probably will be saying, I didn't inherit maybe the strongest Boca squad in recent years. Let's get to the halfway point of the year with those objectives ticked, have a good transfer window and see how far we can go.
Boca in possession. Here's Romero. Plays towards the far right side. Roncaglia also making his way up, getting involved in there. Medina chasing after the ball as the ball is cleared once again by Cristian Lema. The former News Old Boys was still in possession. Here's Esquivel, not able to control it properly. So the ball will belong to Boca once again. So far, no goals. We're still in the first couple of minutes of this match. Still no goals. Romero. Here's Barco. Romero. Medina. Boca moves the ball around so far with a little more possession in the opening minutes. Careful, because that was a short pass, and it is indeed another chance for Lanus to find a counterattack. The ball from the middle. Careful with this one, and it was a little closer than everyone else thought. Good try, as even some. Garcia was a couple of feet ahead of his spot. Tried it from long range. Wasn't too far, Peter. It's going to be a goal kick.
I think it's Esquivel who takes on the shot. He's got that kind of quality in his left foot, but it was very, very ambitious, and I don't know if it was really the best option. I mean, the chances of beating Javi Garcia from that far out were pretty slim, and it was a decent, because of that short pass, chance for the counter. Orozco making that run, admittedly just behind him, but he's pretty rapid, the youngster. If he could have just held up the ball for a little bit longer, Lanus would have still had a pretty decent counter on. Just a concern perhaps of the visitors there. Leandro Diaz limping a little bit after that challenge.
Another ball towards Benedetto inside of the area. Benedetto! What a goal that would have been. What a goal that would have been. Couple of players asking for a handball. I don't know about that. Peter. I don't know about that. I'll let you take care of it. But Benedetto, who by the way has been very criticized in the last couple of weeks. He almost had the goal of his life. Literally.
Oh, what a block. I think it's the former Boca man, Sanchez Miño, in the end, who throws himself in front of the ball. We'll have to see the replay to see if there's any validity behind those claims for a handball. From the initial glance, looks like it smashed him into the body, but either way, putting his body on the line to stop what looked to be a certain goal.
He started dropping people like crazy. Took out a couple to dance too. Careful with this one, the mistake in the back. Another chance for Lanus as the ball makes its way into the area. Takes a deflection, and this will be a throw-in for El Granate. Ball makes its way inside of the area. Valentini takes care of business, clears this one out. Another offensive throw-in for Lanus. Pedro de la Vega, Raúl Loaiza, Leandro Diaz. Three men inside of the area for Lanus, waiting for something there. Let's see if the ball goes directly into the area. The man that played many games here, La Bombonera, Juan Sánchez Miño. What happened? Come on. Oh, it's a corner. Oh. Well, if the players didn't know that, how are we going to know that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. It is a pretty crowded area. As Lanus goes up, careful with this one. The chance for El Granate. Lema. And this one's going to go out of bounds, and it will be a goal kick.
And Lema, always a threat from those set plays. Couldn't direct his header goalwards. This was the chance for a brilliant ball by Valentin Barco, the under-20 international, just back from the World Cup, to release Benedetto. It's pretty sloppy defending by Lanus in the first place. Aguilar lets Benedetto get the wrong side of him. Lema then loses his footing. And this is the block here. Sanchez Miño, absolutely superb. He is indeed straight into that chest.
Ball makes his way inside of the area. Yeah, I don't see no... Number one, let me just point two things out in that play. And I'll tell you right after this one, it's a good ball that makes his way. Not really a good ball because it is out of bounds. So it will be a goal kick for the home side. So two things to highlight out of that play. Number one, I think it was Paul Fernandez who was coming on the far post by himself. Like, that would have been a simple touch and literally a finish, a tap and finish. Now the question is, do you blame Benedetto for wanting to finish the play all by himself? Or do you blame him for not wanting to literally tap the ball towards Paul Fernandez, who was coming in by himself? I mean, the save is great, but those are the type of mistakes that has cost Boca in the last couple of games. There's been games where Boca has been superior, but they haven't been able to show it in the scoreboard. And sometimes it's because of the inability to find the back of the net when the occasions present themselves. It's a team that usually we're used to seeing good number 9s, players that are good to finish. But Boca in the last couple of seasons hasn't found its true number 9. And that has been one of the problems as well. Careful with this one as a good ball makes his way down the right side. Here's Medina. Finds Romero. Quick touch towards the Paraguayan who tries from long range. Far from target. It's going to be a goal kick.
Well, I think you might have hinted at it before, though, Klaus. When you talk about Benedetto, you said about him being criticised of late. I think when he's into that position, as you see, the run that you were referring to as well there, Paul Fernandes just arriving in the background for the easy tap-in, asking for the ball, or asking for a handball there as well. But Benedetto scored 1 goal this season. As a result, has been getting criticised. As a result, has had a lot of people wondering, should he still be the starting number 9 in this lineup? Has Miguel Merentiel done enough, often from the bench, to now be the starting choice? That wasn't an option for Almiron today because of injury, but Benedetto will have started to feel that pressure that he needs goals, and I'm sure once he gets into that kind of position, there's no way he's laying it off to anyone.
You talked about yeah, he's complaining about his hand, but you did talk about him limping a little bit. So far, hasn't been in contact with the ball as of yet.
This seems to be a completely separate injury, but Diaz down again, and Boca's frustration there that they were on their way, so they felt. Disappointed that Fernando Echenique decided to bring that back for what was quite clearly a pretty innocuous knock to Diaz.
Boca in possession. Not a good pass. Here's Acosta. Valentini. Valdés. Roncalia. Is it me, or there is a couple of empty seats in La Bombonera? Because it is kind of hard to see that. It rarely happens. When we were watching the drone before the match started, I could tell in some places where usually there's a lot of people, there were a couple of spots. And now looking at the one, at the stands that obviously we have in front of us, also a couple of spots there. I know it's gotten cold in Argentina in the last couple of days. Careful with this one. A mistake in the back from Boca. Another chance for Lanus. Trying to carry this one forward, and that's absolutely nothing. He does manage to recover the ball, tries a shot from long range. Pretty greedy for number 18, who had a couple of options, decided to do it all upon himself. It's going to be a goal kick.
Well, it's greedy, the second case, but it's also really poor here as well, because when Diaz picks it up, look at the option just off screen there coming in. So Rosco in space, he's behind the fullback Roncaglia, who's not recovered. He's still in space there if he wanted to play it again, and instead takes on the shot. So Diaz, in the space of 5 or 10 seconds, manages really to waste 2 good opportunities for Lanus.
You think that was a foul or no?
No, I don't think so. Not for me. He overruns it and leads to that collision, but still thinking Leandro Diaz gets to the ball. Big night, of course, for Jorge Almiron against one of his former clubs, but Probably the former club that he's achieved the biggest high in his managerial career, with Lanus when he led them to the title back in 2016. Returned to the club in a second spell a lot more recently, which didn't go as well. But it's really that spell in 2016 which is the point of his managerial career, which I think Riquelme and the rest of the Boca board really looked to when appointing him here, and in the way that they played that year in winning the title.
It was in 2017 when they made it to the final of the Conmebol Libertadores against Gremio, right?
Yeah, exactly. The following year, all the way to the final of the Libertadores.
The team from Lanus, a very interesting squad. Coached, of course, by Jorge Almiron. Now Boca in possession. Here's Romero, puts an interesting ball forward as Boca goes into the attack. Wow.
No. It's not really where you want Dario Benedetto, but even the man that should be in the middle when he's out wide should be doing better than that, and it's a little shrug of the shoulders there by Jorge Almiron. A wasted opportunity for the home team.
It's a good header there. One of those flick-on headers. Didn't get to his destination. Here's Javi Garcia. Good control with his feet. Quickly plays down the middle towards Ramirez. Another chance for Medina, putting a good ball down the middle. The control by Romero, who quickly shifts the ball down the right side. Roncaglia gets involved as well. Here's Fernandez. Interesting touches there from Boca. Valentini. Valdez. Still number 25. Down the right side. Puts a tough ball because it was a little tough to control. Roncaglia gets to it. Gets away from Lema. Careful with this one. Great ball inside of the area. Cleared right away. Now the chance from outside of the area. Great cut. The chance of a shot in this one over the crossbar. Not able to get it on target by Cristian Medina. It's going to be a goal kick, but Boca seems to be a little closer.
Yeah, well, he does everything right up until the shot there, Medina. Sells Sanchez Miño the early shot, puts him on his backside to bring it back onto his right foot, and then ends up thrashing one over the top of the crossbar. And it all came from Roncaglia getting down that right-hand side. Very much out of position, being played at right full-back, and at this stage of his career, you wouldn't have thought would narrowly have the pace to be able to get down there and provide the width that Boca are used to when it's either Advíncula playing at right-back or Chelo Weigand. But there he was, getting all the way to the byline to cut that ball back.
A chance for Lanus as the ball makes his way inside of the area. Cleared. Back in possession. For Granada today, dressed as white. Esquivel trying to get through the left side. Manages to beat Roncaglia with speed. Puts an interesting ball inside of the area, and it was a great ball. Now the chance of a shot from long range. Garcia, the rebound. Garcia. Garcia times two. I don't know if he was offsides. I think he might have been offsides. Pedro de la Vega on the second one, but nevertheless, a good double save by the keeper. It's going to be a goal kick.
Almost the closest Lanus have come. It initially starts from Orozco, just beating Roncaglia for pace. I was just talking about Roncaglia not maybe having the natural pace at 36 years of age to provide the width in an attacking sense, but 1v1 can get exposed like that against Orozco. He gets past him, puts in that initial cross that breaks the Belmonte in the edge, and it's two really good stops. Don't think the follow-up would have counted, as he said, Klaus, but Javi Garcia wasn't to know that at the time.
Now the chance for Boca. Good attack down the middle. The chance of a header! Another response by Lucas Acosta, the rebound, and this one was way far from target. Oh, two great responses back-to-back. First from Javi Garcia, now from Lucas Acosta, and Peter, it's game on.
Oh, that's another great save. Didn't see it on this replay, but the pass out from Boca to create the crossing opportunity for Paul Fernandes was absolutely brilliant. He just fizzed it, had to get there quickly along the ground and hit it with real pace to get there into the path of Paul Fernandes. That made that move possible. And Acosta does exactly what Javi Garcia did at the other end just 1 minute earlier. This game really warming up now.
Now Lanus in possession as the ball makes its way towards the far left. Juan Sanchez Miño with a quick touch finds Lima. Here's Tomas Belmonte. Now Felipe Aguilar. Aguilar with a long ball looking for Pedro de la Vega. Good header by Barco, who now loses possession. Careful with this one. The chance for Lanus. Another good interception by Barco. Loaiza tries to steal the ball. Good steal by the former Defensa Justicia. No foul now. And Boca with a quick recover. Here's Javi Garcia once again. Being a little messy. Both teams not able to keep possession for more than a couple of passes. Once again, the ball towards Esquivel, stepping inside of the area. Careful with this one. The ball makes its way in. I think there should be a deflection along the way. Should be a corner. Yeah, it will be a corner. A corner. Another one for Lanus.
They're causing problems again. Down that Lanus left with both Esquivel and Orozco being able to double up at times down that side. On this occasion have to settle for a corner.
Chance for Lanus, ladies and gents, as the ball makes its way in. Good header on the near post to clear that danger out, at least momentarily. It's going to be another throw-in for Lanus, and they're going to play this one quick down the left-hand side. Another chance of a cross, and it's a good cross. The chance for Loaiza.
And he wanted it.
A goal kick.
Wanted it initially on his right foot, didn't he? And Boca just closed him down enough so he can't get it off straight away there. Drags it onto his left, and then miscues on the shot. Boca come again from the back. Valentin Barco rolls it back into Valentini, and they patiently go out from the back once again. Back and forth so far in this first half. Boca probably shading it, but Lanus have certainly had their moments, and they'll have more of them if the ball keeps getting given away cheaply like that. Belmonte looks long immediately for Leandro Diaz, who always provides that outlet for Lanus. The big centre forward on this occasion couldn't get anywhere near that one. Oscar Romero around the corner for Juan Ramirez. And this is the man really that Boca need in this game. Pulling the strings, Romero, when you look at the players that are out and not available for one reason or another going forward in that attacking third. Romero's role ever more important now, and he's drifting around in that kind of number 10 position just behind Benedetto. But needs the ball into his feet, needs to be able to start finding those passes to make a real difference. Came off the bench because of a first half injury. in midweek against Colo-Colo and made a difference. Was the creator of the only goal in that game. A wonderful volley in the end by Marcelo Weigand. But it was the vision to spot the pass from Oscar Romero that created the chance. A player that has frustrated in large parts for Boca, in and out of the team and never really consistently putting together performances. They really need that at least between now and the end of the season. Sanchez Minho down the left for Lanus. The cross comes in, looking for De La Vega. Valentini's there and heads it away to the edge of the box. And Ekki Fernandez loses out again. The shot comes in, straight into the chest of Javier Garcia, who's increasingly getting busier and busier as this half goes on. Quickly gets us back underway as Boca look to break at pace. Winning the ball back on halfway. It's all a little bit scrappy, certainly in that middle third of the pitch. Both midfields not giving any quarter. And eventually Christian Medina goes down and a foul's being given. And this was the shot that just came in moments ago. Valentini's initial header just making it to the edge of the box, and it's poor from Ekki Fernandez. Under pressure here, the 21 tries to get around Esquivel and instead hands in possession of the ball right on the edge. A lot of these players in the Boca lineup have had to make do with bit parts this year off the bench, so this is an opportunity for them with players missing to impress Almiron, the likes of Ekki Fernandez in that midfield, Juan Ramirez, who I think many Boca supporters will feel has had his chance and simply not taken it. Maybe he'll be one they'll be looking to move on in the transfer window to come, unless he can remind them of his talents before then.
Thank you for holding it down, Peter. Back in here with Boca so far still. Thankfully no goals yet. Now that goals can come, the chance for Boca, there's no foul there. And if there was, it was right outside of the area anyway. As Boca gets back into possession. Lanus with the recovery. Therefore, with this one is an interesting ball forward, but it is going to be rejected by Javier Garcia. Loaiza, who gets a header in the middle. Another mistake, another recovery. This time Esquivel down the middle.
Two things so far through half an hour. The amount of times we've seen Boca give the ball away cheaply in various parts of the pitch. Misplaced passes, bad touches, we've just handed the ball to Lanus. And how many times in the final third Lanus have had a good opportunity but simply have made the wrong choice. The wrong pass or the poor application of a pass that's seen the chance disappear before it's really come to fruition.
It's like that last touch, right? That last pass, that's where the problem, at least, because they don't have any trouble moving the ball forward. Therefore, with this one is an interesting ball towards Benedetto. It seems like he was onside. The ball ends up landing in the hands of Lucas Acosta.
Yeah, it's a difficult take, that, for Benedetto. The second time, though, you look at that really clear chance he had earlier on where he looks fairly isolated. And the worry for Lanus is that a fairly simple ball over the top almost on this occasion manages to release him, as it did with that chance before that required the last-ditch block from Juan Sanchez Minho. You really would have thought between Aguilar and Lema they'd be able to handle just a ball put over the top of them like that.
It's a good through ball down the left side. Not able to reach Juan Sanchez Minho. Here's the previous one.
Definitely not. Sees the contact coming before it even arrives and Roncaglia just chucks himself down. The referee had a
Former
very good
teammates.
look at it.
Back in 2015, I believe, maybe you can help me out with that later, but teammates for sure back in the day for Boca. Maybe a little earlier, 2013, 2012. Yeah, because that team from Julio Cesar Falcioni that makes it to the final of the Libertadores against Corinthians back in 2013, I think Roncaglia played on that team, because I think he's the one that scores on the home game.
Yeah.
That Boca ends up equalizing with Corinthians. And I think Juan Sanchez Munoz did play on that team as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Roncaglia,
not as a fullback, as a center mid, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, Roncaglia 100% played that in that Libertadores run. Sanchez Munoz, I think you're probably right, before he would have left the club for the first time, would have still been there.
Here's Loaiza. Belmonte. And now Lema, who clears this one out towards the far left. Careful with this one. A good approach down the left side for Lanus. Putting an interesting ball down the middle. Cleared by Valdez. Here's Medina. Gets away from his marker, but it looks like there was a foul from number 36. That's what the referee's calling, but if there's actually a foul, there should be a card as well. Peter will take care of the replay.
I think there is a card coming out as well. Looked as though Echenique. And there it is. Christian Medina brings the ball down, looks to get away, and the arm just comes up. There's no intent there, is there? But it is the hand that just catches the face of Orozco as he tries to make that challenge. First yellow card of the game, though, goes to Christian Medina. Medina honoured before the game, making his 100th appearance for Boca, which is a tremendous feat, really, when you consider Christian Medina still only just turned 21 in the last couple of weeks, so very young to be reaching that marker already. He and Alan Varela both doing the same.
A quick response now by Boca. Careful with this one. It's going to be a long ball down the left side for Barco. Is he going to reach? Yes, he's going to reach. Is he going to keep it in? Yes, he's going to keep it in. It's a good ball inside of the area. The chance for... Well, Benedetto was trying to get to it, but never really got to it. Now ball ends up going out of bounds. And now Lanus having a little tougher time moving the ball towards the area defended by Javi Garcia and Boca. Seemed like a more interesting match in like 10-15 minutes ago, where you could see a box-to-box constantly from both teams, but now it's Boca back in possession. Not much from Lanus. You can see those two clear lines of four, and of course Leandro Diaz pressuring as a lone forward. It's a team that's being very conservative here in La Bombonera. The ball makes its way inside of the area. Great catch, not too tough by Acosta, who tries to put this one long. Good header by Valentini as well to clear all of the danger out.
I mean, it's a team that in general doesn't look to control possession. It's a team that looks to just get forward very, very quickly. When you look at the average possession across that entire LPF, 28 teams. Lanús are 25th, despite sitting so high in the table. So they really are a team that just give up possession in many cases, knowing that they've got the pace to play on the counter. They try and do that with Orozco, with De La Vega. They've got that out ball as well in the guise of Leandro Diaz and his ability to play with his back to goal. So I think Boca will have known that even with a weakened side, they're going to be the team that have the ball a lot more in that midfield, and the onus is going to be on them to try and control the game in possession and try and create chances from that foundation.
Well, this should be something interesting for Boca here as we see Lanus trying to play the offside trap. Trying to make sure everyone's on the same pace. It's going to be Romero or Paul Fernandez. Seems more for a righty, but I think it is going to be Romero, the one in charge of this action. Let's see what happens. The chance for Boca, ladies and gents. Looking to find the first one of the evening. It's a long ball towards the far post. Very poorly executed. Paul Fernandez. First Pedro de la Vega, not able to get through. Tries to back up the ball. So it was Javi Garcia, long ball from the keeper. Finds Barco, who puts it down. Good recovery now down the middle for Lanus. We haven't seen much from them the last couple of minutes. Leandro Diaz has been complaining more than anything else. That connection we saw a couple of minutes ago, pretty much gone. It's a game that is mostly played in the middle. Right, both teams. There's Lucas Acosta. Oh yeah, that's. Yeah, I know.
Despite Lanus offering much less in the last 10 minutes or so, Boca still haven't really been able to make enough of their spell of possession in this first half. In the last 10-15 minutes, or really since that blocked shot, we've not really seen, or certainly since the save that Lucas Acosta had to make, we haven't seen them create a great deal. They certainly need to try and get a few of those more attack-minded midfielders a little closer to Benedetto to try and create chances.
Barco keeps it inbound. Fernandez. Another chance for Valdez. Ball down the right side. Boca looking good on this one. It's a 1-2. Paul Fernandez tries to fight it off. Here's Benedetto. Seems to be in a legit position. Tries to put it back into action. The ball does take a deflection along the way, so it will be a throw-in for Boca. But first, gotta take a look at, I believe it's Paul Fernandez, I'm not sure. Yeah, it is Paul. It
comes from this mistake here. De La Vega goes for the little back heel and puts it straight into the path of Paul Fernandez. Goes for that 1-2, and you just see he gets stood on there inadvertently. Aguilar comes across to make the challenge, and just there carries on over and ends up standing on that ankle of Paul Fernandez. Every time a player goes down now, Jorge Almiron will be hoping it's nothing serious, having already lost so many players for the next few weeks at least. Will not want to add Paul Fernandez to that list.
Could that potentially be reviewed as a penalty or no?
I mean, I guess it could. I guess yes is the answer. I mean, for me, it's one of those unfortunate comings together that happens there. I don't think Aguilar has any, certainly no intent, but I don't think any real control. They're both coming in at pace, one sliding in towards the other. Aguilar kicks, makes the clearance, and then as his foot comes down to the ground, the player slides in between, but I don't think there's anything more to it than that for me.
Here's Benedetto. Good recovery by number 9 on the ground. Loses possession once again with Pedro de la Vega. Ooh! It seemed to be a little more tough than what it actually was. So it will be a free kick here for Lanus. It's the typical foul when you're frustrated, when things are just not going your way, so you just gotta take it out on someone. Lanus on the attack. Here's Loaiza. Back with Lanus as Loaiza once again tries to get in. They're going to try to keep the ball inbound. They tried, but couldn't. Good try by Esquivel. Esquivel who puts the ball back in the field to prevent the quick throw-in. Benedetto limping. Boca who actually rejected an offer a couple of days ago on Lucas Vazquez. It wasn't a crazy offer, but it was a decent offer indeed for a player that hasn't gotten too many minutes in the last couple of games. But Boca rejected the offer. They said they wanted to keep the youngster, so Luis Vazquez will stay for now. But there has been a couple of different offers from different clubs, some to buy, other ones to loan.
Well, they might need him in a minute if Benedetto can't run this off. I mean, Merentiel's already ruled out. And Ngoni also picked up an injury in midweek, so Vazquez really the only real option available on the bench to replace Benedetto if he is indeed picked up an injury here.
And now Boca in possession, careful with this one. It's a good ball towards the far left. They control by ball Fernandez, who decides to back this one up. Roncaglia now, Fernandez from outside. No, decides to chip it in. What a beautiful ball inside of the area. And Medina, I believe it was, not able to get a touch in there. Lucas Acosta, who comes out very successfully, captures that ball. But it was an interesting pass from Fernandez. Look at Medina's run, totally onsides. So far, one of the best plays we've seen, Peter.
Yeah, it's a fantastic pass over the top. The run timed perfectly. He's just dropped there. Medina's stretching. Can't quite get his toe on the ball, or sufficiently enough to direct it past Acosta, but that's what we need to see a little bit more of from Boca, those kind of defence breaking passes.
So we're going to play one more minute. We got an offsides here, so Peter, so far from a 1 through 10, what would you give this first half?
Be generous and give it a 6 probably. I mean, we've had some moments. It certainly started brightly, but that lack of quality in the final third is what's letting it down at the moment.
Careful with this one, the mistake in the back, and Lanus manages to once again pick up possession. Good ball inside of the area. Diaz, goal for Lanus. El Loco, Leandro Diaz, ladies and gents, wonderful header towards the back of the net. Very little time to react for Javi Garcia. And from a mistake, Lanus finds the first one right before halftime, Peter. Lanus leads 1-0.
They must have been listening about the lack of end product in that final third, but again it comes from Boca, cheaply giving away possession. Lanus surround Christian Medina to win that ball off him. The ball eventually ends up with Sanchez Minho, the former Boca man, down that left, and he whips in the cross. The kind of delivery that this man has been waiting for all half. And once in that position, there's few better than Leandro Diaz. He beats Valentini easily to get on the end of that, and there's absolutely nothing that Javi Garcia can do to keep it out. Lanus leading right on the stroke of half-time. And it's that man, Lanus's leading goal scorer, with his 10th of the season.
Ladies and gents, the halftime whistle. And definitely not the best way for Boca to end this first half. Lanus found it out of nowhere. Leandro Diaz, who literally had very little contact with the ball whatsoever. We probably called his name once or twice. worried about complaining and talking more than anything else, but that's one of the things that these type of strikers have. They don't come in contact with the ball for a long period of time, but when they do, it's usually lethal. And so far, that goal, Peter, has Lanus leading 1-0.
Yeah, otherwise there's been little in it. And Boca have probably had the better moments, have been the team seeing more of the ball, but they've always looked a little fragile. They've given the ball away cheaply during that first 45 minutes, and they've ultimately been punished for it as Leandro Diaz pops up there with the last gasp goal. A big 45 minutes to come to see whether or not Jorge Almiron can make the changes with the 11 or with the very inexperienced bench that he's got available to him today to turn this one around.
Ladies and gents, so far, pretty decent first half. Peter, can we say now, can we bring it up to a 7? Is that cool?
Yeah,
instead of a 6 or no? Okay.
I think we'll say a 7 now.
Ladies and gents, quick break. Alongside Peter Coates, I'm Klaus German. We're going to go into a commercial break, but in just a couple of minutes, a halftime show coming right up. So don't go anywhere. So far, very exciting game here. La Bombonera, Lanus leading 1-0. Quick break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to La Bombonera, where Boca Juniors trail Lanus by 1-0. Leandro Diaz right on the brink of the half-time whistle, giving the visitors the lead. This is what's been going on match day 20 so far, and what's to come. Yesterday, Barracas Central and Rosario Central played out a 0-0 draw. Independiente picked up a much-needed 2-0 win over Sarmiento. just in stoppage time at the moment. I believe Platense leading Tigre by 1-0, just about to finish their half-time here. Lanus defeating Boca by 1-0. Coming up later on at 9:30, the kickoff, Talleres look to go 1 point behind Ríver at the top. They take on Arsenal. Tomorrow our action starts at 2 in Rosario. Newell's Old Boys against Union. At 5 o'clock, San Lorenzo hosts Central Córdoba. 7:15, Banfield versus Ríver Plέit. This is on Monday, sorry. And then at 9:45, it's Instituto versus Racing, and Vélez Sarsfield taking on Argentinos Juniors. On Tuesday at 6, Colón versus Estudiantes, Defensa y Justicia against Belgrano. And then at 8:30 on Tuesday, we close out match day 20 with Atlético Tucumán versus Godoy Cruz, and in La Plata, Gimnasia against Huracán. So the LPF Ríver still out in front as things stand by 4 points. Of course, they have that game in hand after the tragic events of last weekend. As things stand, Lanus are up into 4th with a big 3 points. They'll go above Estudiantes on goal difference, be a point behind third-placed San Lorenzo and 2 behind second-placed Talleres. Boca will remain in 10th for now on 27 points, level on points with Newell's Old Boys. The bottom half of the table looks like this. Arsenal, despite their win over Boca last time out, rock bottom on 17 points. And then 5 teams just above them on 18. Union, Banfield, Huracán, Atlético Tucumán and Vélez all struggling this season. Independiente were among that group until last night. Their win takes them on to 21 points and up into 20th in the table. So here at the break, Lanus 1-0 up against Boca Juniors. Leandro Diaz heading in, the only goal of the game so far in what was otherwise a pretty even first half, probably shaded by Boca in truth. They certainly had the lion's share of possession, even if it was Lanus who ended up having the more shots on goal. Couple of clear sights as well, and a couple of very good saves from both goalkeepers to keep it at 0-0 right until the end of the first half, when finally Lanus got the service right into Leandro Diaz, their leading goal scorer, and he was able to beat Nico Valentini in the air to give them the breakthrough. It's the 10th goal of the season as well for Leandro Diaz, just one behind the top goal scorers in the LPF. And they'll be hoping that he's just getting himself back into form. Before tonight, 1 goal in his last 5, 7 goals in the 5 before that. So a little bit hot and cold at times, Leandro Diaz, but when he's on, he's very much on. And if he can continue his best goal-scoring form through the rest of the season, Lanus will be there or thereabouts come the end of the LPF campaign. They've only played 19, of course. This is match day 20, so they still have a game to spare as well on a number of the other teams around them. Whether or not they'll be able to catch the leaders Ríver is another question. But certainly that high up in the table when they started this year in real relegation trouble is testament to the good work that Frank Kudelka has been able to do. Well, before we look ahead to the second half, we'll look at the goals already from match day 20. There was a goalless draw between Barracas Central and Rosario Central. We'll in fact look at the first half highlights before doing that. And this was the first really clear chance for the home team. Dario Benedetto in behind with that great ball by Valentin Barco. Away from 2, unable to get away from former Boca man Juan Sanchez Miño. There's the pass from Barco, cutting out Felipe Aguilar, finding Benedetto. He bounces off Christian Lema, and what a challenge that is by Sanchez Miño. Worth a goal in itself. Benedetto does everything right and will have thought at this point that he's ending his wait for another LPF goal. Sanchez Miño thought otherwise. Lanus have had their moments as well, despite not seeing a lot of the ball. This was a terrific stop by Javier Garcia to deny Thomas Belmonte initially. I think there was a flag up that would have ruled out, as we see here, the follow-up from Pedro de la Vega. But Garcia made absolutely certain, quickly back onto his feet to make a double save and ensure that it stayed 0-0. Again, Valentin Barca was involved in this build-up, and there was another terrific opportunity there. A minute after Garcia had produced a save we just saw, Acosta managed to produce this one to deny Oscar Romero. Quickly down to his right to get that one away. Lanus continued to come forward and cause problems, particularly down that left-hand side. Rosco with his pace up against Roncaglia and the left foot of Esquivel, creating a lot of the chances for the visitors. And this one by Raul Loasa, dragged off target after some good play again by Esquivel down the left. This was Esquivel getting a shot away straight at Garcia after some poor play from Eki Fernandez on the edge of his own box, cheaply giving the ball away, which is something Boca have been doing a lot in that first half. Plays himself into trouble there, and Esquivel with the short backlift just couldn't quite find the direction, and just before half-time, Leandro Diaz finds the back of the net. It's Medina this time who gets caught in possession. Sanchez Miño picking up the ball, whips in the cross, and Diaz gets away from both Barco and Valentini, gets in front of the centre-back, and once in that position, the ball was only going to end up in one place. 10 goals in the LPF season now for Leandro Diaz, and Lanus 1-0 up here at La Bombonera. So some decent chances at both ends, but as things stand, it's 1-0 to Lanus. Now we can indeed look at the goals from match day 20, starting of course last night in Avellaneda, where Independiente needed a win and they got the win. Matias Jimenez with both goals. This was the first one shortly before half-time, really well taken from this corner, lets the ball drop, good first touch, a calm finish to give El Rojo a deserved lead against Sarmiento, another one of the sides struggling against relegation potentially. That was the threat for Independiente, given how poor they've been this season. But they didn't necessarily play like a team like that yesterday. It was one of their better performances, and it was Jimenez again with the second. Not long after half-time, Martin Sarafiore with the cross at the second time of asking. The first one blocked, lobbing in the second one, and Jimenez unmarked on hand to plant the header past Mesa and into the back of the net, giving Independiente a 2-0 win. Earlier this evening, just as our game was finishing, Platense, another team threatened by relegation, and a huge 3 points. The only goal of the game scored by Nicolas Castro with a big helping hand by Marinelli in the Tigre goal. That the only goal of the game, and Platense picking up those 3 points. Priceless 3 points for El Calamar. Well, Lanús's form means they don't really have to concern themselves any longer with relegation. They've dragged themselves away in the Promedios table. And now they're looking up the table. They're up into 4th as things stand. They lead Boca by 1-0. And now as the players make their way out, we see if Boca can turn this around. They had a couple of chances to do so. We understand Lanús are making a change, and it's the former Newell's man, Julian Fernandez, who will be coming in. Boca, for now, unchanged. As far as we're aware, with Boca making their way out onto the pitch, we still wait for Lanús. I can bring back in our play-by-play commentator, Klaus German, still alongside me. And Klaus, certainly a very watchable first half, and in the end, Lanús just shading it with the first chance really they managed to create for the danger man, Leandro Diaz. And now the pressure very much on Boca to see if they can find another gear or two to turn this one round.
Yeah, that's definitely not a nice way to go into the locker room like that. I'll tell you that's for a fact. If we take into consideration what we saw in the first half, I think Boca played a little better. They approached the opposition a little more. Lanus did have a couple of minutes where they did seem confident as far as passing the ball and trying to find transitions moving forward, but we didn't see much. We saw Leandro Diaz that was complaining a lot. Pedro de la Vega not quite involved. We saw the one shot, I believe it was Belmonte, that was saved by Javi Garcia, but I think so far the score, even though Boca, if you look at the passes, they have more passes, more possession, I think the score, it's pretty fair from what we've seen so far. Boca really didn't do much. We saw the save by Acosta. Both teams had an option each. Lanus in this case had two. One ended up in the back of the net. But it's been a pretty entertaining match. We said it at the end of the first half. Boca now it's going to have to trying to make something out of those forwards movements, out of those forward balls they've been sending, because Benedetto hasn't done much. And we haven't seen no one inside of the area as a target man, and that's been complicated for Boca. I mean, if you look at the approaches, we've seen Paul Fernandez or Ezequiel Fernandez. So we'll see what happens, Peter, in the second half, but obviously they're responsible to get the 3 points. The responsibility lies upon Boca.
Yeah, and Boca are indeed also making a change at the break, and it's a debut for the 18-year-old Aaron Anselmino, the centre-back, in for Bruno Valdez. A huge moment for him. He's only just signed his first contract, or first professional contract with the club this week. And Anselmino on for his debut here at the break in central defence. There's the other change for Lanus that I mentioned. Julian Fernandez is on, replacing Raul Luasa in midfield.
Ladies and gents, the action continues here in La Bombonera. This is round 20 in Argentina, and so far Lanus getting themselves in the top 5, defeating Boca 1-0. The goal by Leandro Diaz, the former Estudiantes. Here's Romero in control. Valdez is out, correct?
Yeah. So in the back four, it's now Anselmino and Valentini in the middle, Roncaglia at right back still, and Barco on the left.
Remember he had a couple of remember the clash against Leandro Diaz? He never managed to recover 100% from that, because he didn't have a yellow card, right? I only have Medina so far with a yellow card.
Yeah, not tonight. He's one yellow card away from suspension, Valdez, but he hadn't picked it up this evening, so
yeah,
you would assume it's an injury.
That's going to be a foul. It's going to be Oscar Romero or Paul Fernandez, but I think it's going to be Romero trying to put this ball in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players going after this ball. Juan Ramirez right at the edge of the area. Let's see what happens. A chance for Romero. And the ball ended up going directly towards goal. Great save by Acosta. It's going to be a corner.
You know, he's got that in his locker, hasn't he, Oscar Romero, from the set plays.
Another chance for Paul Fernandez. He's going to be the one in charge of delivering this one. The ball makes its way into the area. Good header by Lima to clear it out. Here's Romero, who puts it back into action now. Valentini, looking like a right winger, tries to put a cross inside of the area. That cross takes a slight deflection towards the backhand, making it another corner. Now from the other side for Boca, as we see the fans getting off their seats. That's going to be a foul. And it might be something else as well.
Looks as though it's going to be a yellow for Orozco. He can't believe it. Said it's his first one, but just a little bit late there. You see he's always stretching to get there and stops Romero whipping in that corner routine. Instead, they're going to get a free kick whipped in at them.
Let's see what happens on this one, ladies and gents. A chance for Boca so far, starting better off in the second half. The ball towards the near post, easily controlled by Lucas Acosta. So far, pretty safe. Here's a previous one, Peter.
Yeah, again, that was relatively comfortable for Acosta. It was a difficult position for the free kick, certainly for the left footer. Romero took it on, hit the target, but Acosta was always going to get there. And the second one, a pretty tame effort. Could have only really been made complicated for Acosta if Paul Fernandez had been able to get there at the near post. There's the two efforts, one after another. The second one's disappointing. A decent position, and certainly the left foot with the quality that Romero has. You would expect a little bit more from that position.
The ball inside of the area. Lima, not a good header by number 2. It's going to be a goal kick.
It's just a fraction too high, that, isn't it? Lima stretching for it. As Boca leave him dangerously unmarked there. And he's the player that was clearly being targeted by the delivery from Esquivel. And this was a high foot there. Boca are asking for a little bit more, I think, from the officials.
Ooh. Yeah, I think a yellow would have been yeah, it was a yellow indeed. There it is, a card. There's the card. Juan Jose Cáceres.
2 yellow cards now then for Lanus following Orozco just moments ago. 1 for Boca in the first half to Christian Medina.
No foul. No foul, says the referee. Now the ball cleared. And that brings it down. Here's Paul Fernandez down the middle, looking for space. Ball down the right side. Here's Roncaglia. Good combination between him and Paul Fernandez. Back towards number 2. Puts an interesting cross inside of the area, but this one, once again, very well controlled by Lucas Acosta so far, giving the whole back of Lanus a lot of confidence. Opa. What a nice little touch there for your first game. I don't know if I would do that in my first game here, La Bombonera, something like that, but he did it. And there's a reason why he's there and now I'm not. That's going to be a foul.
I mean, a lot of injuries, but still a big moment for Anselmino, 18. Only for the first time for this game getting called up to do the first team squad for a game, thrown in at half-time.
Lanus on the attack. Here's De La Vega. Leandro Diaz inside of the area as well. Careful with this one. They ran out of space. It's going to be a goal kick. Boca on the attack. Roncaglia. Another ball forward. This one's going to be used as a shield. Great movement in the back area by Felipe Aguilar. And now Lanus coming out of the back with the ball at their feet. Good recovery down the middle. Careful with this one. Here's Pedro de la Vega. Takes it down the middle. Fernandez gets involved as well. It's a great ball down the left side. They change for Orozco inside of the area. The touch, the pass towards Juan Sanchez Minio. It was a great idea, but it was a little bit too short. And it gets quickly repossessed.
We talked in the first half about that as well, didn't we, Klaus? In terms of those positions that Lanus get themselves into and then just fail on that decisive pass.
Here's Benedetto, the chance from Romero from outside of the area. Ball takes a deflection. It's going to be a corner.
That's well played by Benedetto, bringing the ball down. That's the kind of position that Romero wants to find himself in.
There's a chance for Boca, ball inside of the area. Rejected. Rejected. Now, was that kept inbound? Referee says no, it was not. Go back. And throw in for Boca. Well, that was a cross. I'm not going to say a good cross, but a cross indeed. Here's Barco. Ramirez. Romero tried to feed this one through, but Benedetto wasn't able to get a good touch in there. So far, it hasn't been Benedetto's night.
And that was the shot before from Romero. A couple of half-hearted claims from Boca there. You see from the replay the shoulder of Christian Lema blocking that one.
Boca in the back, a little bit risky. End up giving this one away. It's going to be a throw in for Lanus. Now the possibilities for Boca on the bench, not many. Brando Cortés, Nicolás Orsini, Luis Vázquez, we talked about him of course. Alan Varela, but not many names available for Almirón. At least not like in other games, that's for sure. Here's Barco once again making his way down the left. Gets away from Orozco.
It's the most inexperienced Boca bench I've seen for a long, long time. And when you think about the position they're in, who can come on there and change the game in terms of in the attack, very slim pickings.
De La Vega wins this one, finds Sanchez Minio. Steps on the ball, backs this one up. Now El Monte, the chance from outside of the area. Great ball, Diaz! Oh my God. Please tell me that was offsides. Please tell me that was offsides. It was. All right, good.
It's close. I don't actually know if there is a flag. Maybe there is over on the far side. We couldn't see it from that angle, but Diaz had a lot more time and space, and I think he anticipated when he took that on his chest.
And in that goal that Diaz ends up scoring in the first half, Valentini is more worried about the man than worried about the ball. So he loses the reference of the man and loses the references of the ball. It's better to see it in a replay, of course, but you can clearly see him more worried about Leandro Diaz and just worrying about the ball. When you know a man like Leandro Diaz has to be guarded at all times. It looks like he might have been off on that one anyway.
Yeah, the only just wondering about Roncaglia's position on the near side, whether he just maybe keeps him on. I mean, now it doesn't matter. But in the end, I think Diaz had so much time that he could have even let that ball drop and wouldn't have needed to take on the overhead.
A chance for Boca. It's a good cross inside of the middle. Benedetto. Lima gets on the way. It's going to be a ball for Boca.
So it's not enough options for me for Boca getting into the box. I mean, Benedetto's the only out-and-out striker, taking this one quickly. But they're really asking players who aren't used to playing in such a way to get up high up the pitch and get it close to Benedetto. Ramirez isn't that player. Romero isn't really. He wants to be doing what he's tried to do, which is drop a little bit deeper and get the ball into his feet. So there's no one really there who's naturally going to make those runs like the players who would ordinarily be in that attack, like Luca Langoni, like before Sebastian Visca.
Yeah, that's another loss for Boca as well.
Yeah, it's a significant one. One which arguably should have come a lot sooner before the verdict in the last couple of weeks. But regardless, in terms of what he brought to them on the pitch, is a massive loss. There was that attempted bicycle kick. The flag did come up, you saw from that angle on the far side. So it would have required VAR to have a closer look had he found the back of the net. In the meantime, Lanus are getting ready with their second change. Lautaro Acosta, I understand, is about to make his way in.
Now, who do you think is going to come out? Franco Orozco, I'm guessing, right? Because of that yellow card? Maybe?
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, I don't think they're going to go more attacking, so leave either Orozco or De La Vega.
Here's a good ball. Interesting ball down the left side. Careful with this one. Boca looking for the equalizer. Here's Barco. Not a good pass. As the ball once again gets cleared by this man right here, who so far has been impeccable defensively. Talking about Felipe Aguilar. Another ball inside of the area. Another good header by number 33 as the ball gets clear once again. Lanus clearly playing on the counter-attack. Careful on the left side, and that's exactly where the ball goes to. It's an interesting ball, and the chance for Lanus. Once again, Anselmino.
Yeah, it's a great recovery.
The youngster who makes his debut.
Great recovery from Anselmino's having a decent debut here in this second half. And Lanus now do make that change with Laucha Costa coming in to replace Franco Orozco, as we speculated.
There we go, so I guess we're all on the same page. Diaz. Here's Benedetto. Not a good delivery by Benedetto. Once again, Benedetto. Benedetto, foul. Come here, come here, come here, come here.
Well, so far, Almidon enforced into a change. Valdez picking up another injury at half-time, but the changes now, you feel, have to be ones which change the system to try and get a little bit more out of this Boca attack, if indeed they're going to find something from this game. So we wait to see who he turns to on the bench. As you said, Klaus, the options are pretty scarce when you look at a very young and inexperienced bench this evening.
Ball down the right side. Here's Roncaglia, puts an interesting one towards there. Roncaglia has been another player that has been severely criticized by Boca fans as well. And again, I'm not making none of this up. This is public information, and I'm sure Pia can vouch in for me as well. Two players that have been criticized severely, Benedetto and Roncaglia. We talked about his position as well. Not truly his position, or if it was at one point, because he is that type of multi-function player that could play at several spots in the back area. But maybe at this age, I don't know if it's the best idea for him to play as a fullback. Nevertheless, he has been one of those players that Boca fans had been reacting to in the last couple of game weeks.
Yeah, well, I think there's probably a few that fall into that category now, isn't there, as the frustration just grows. And certainly Roncaglia, great servant to the club, and you talked about Libertadores finals, but 10 years ago now, a long, long time.
So it looks like we're going to have two substitutions coming right in for Boca. We'll go over them in just a second. Here's Fernandez. Finds Medina, who tries to shield the ball. The pressure by Esquivel. Still Medina. Good pressure by Esquivel as well. Down the middle so far. Lanus putting a pretty interesting block, not allowing Boca to get through. Here's Barco, looking to feed this one into Benedetto. That's not an offsides because it was touched by a Lanus player, which makes him onside. Now the ball cleared. Here's Leandro Diaz against two. Manages to get away from Fernandez. The back heel, there it is, but didn't quite work out. From number 18, the good recovery by Barco. Here's Romero, foul. No, referee says keep the action going. Nothing at all whatsoever. Oh, what a ball. Oh, what a ball. Here's Pedro de la Vega. Trying to cut into the middle between one. Now gets away from another one. Esquivel. Lautaro Costa, no foul. No foul, says the ref. It did look like it was from behind, but talk about another former Boca as well. Good movement by Medina down the right side to get away from his marker. Careful with this one. Very poor pass. Can't blame Benedetto for that one. And now Lanus back on the attack. And obviously as the clock runs out, Boca is going to try to push the team forward, which may allow a couple of places to be found by Lanus if they work the counter-attack correctly. We'll see what happens. But so far, Lanus looking pretty solid, and doesn't look like their lead is in harm's way, at least for now. Here's Lima. Looks like Brandon Cortés. And Alan Varela will both make their way in. The chance for Boca, ladies and gents. Down the left side. Now with Peter, we'll analyze who are the candidates to possibly come out. Peter, what do you think? I mean, Varela.
I think it's going to be
Not
Ekki
really an attacking player.
Ekki Fernandez for Alan Varela, which would be more or less a straight swap. And the other one, Juan Ramirez, making way for Brandon Cortés, as we see there, the youngster, the 21-year-old. And I think when we talk about the frustration of players, we talk there about Benedetto, about Roncaglia, well, Ramirez maybe even top of that list in terms of players that the supporters have almost had enough of now. We saw just before a wayward pass from Ramirez, whistles in La Bombonera. And I said in the first half about a player who maybe run out of chances during his time here at the club. Maybe the supporters would like to see someone like Cortés or one of the youngsters get more regular time ahead of Juan Ramirez at this stage.
It's been tough for Boca, especially, I mean, there's not a single player that you can really highlight, to be honest. I mean, there's Cortés. Barco. Between two. The deflection. And the referee says the throw-in is for Lanus. Not a lot of players complained, so.
Well, there's that frustration boiling over there for Ekki Fernandez. It's been a difficult season, in truth, for Ekki Fernandez when you consider we're all aware of how talented he is. We saw it last season when he had that very successful loan with Tigre, and he will have clearly enjoyed being part of a team where he was one of the first names on the team sheet, week in, week out, starting in that midfield during a really good year for Tigre. Boca had seen enough to say we want him back at the club to be part of the first team setup, but he's now had to make do with bit parts here and there. Today, getting the opportunity to get from the start in what in truth has been a bit of a flat performance, not just from Ekki Fernandez but from Boca in general. But maybe he needs that run of games to find form, and he's simply not getting it at the moment.
Let's see what happens on this one. The chance for Lanus. It's going to be a very long ball played inside of the area towards the far post. Lima manages to get a header in there, but once again far from target. It's going to be a goal kick taken by Javi Garcia. Javi Garcia wearing pants like the old school goalkeepers. You have any to come to mind, Peter?
Remember Dimitri Karin, the Chelsea goalkeeper, when I was for maybe showing my age a bit there.
I remember the Iceland goalkeeper during the 2018 World Cup, the Canadian goalkeeper in the last World Cup. And there's been a couple. Enrique Bologna. I remember Christian Lucchetti. Sometimes we do it as well. Now the fans asking a little more from the team. Movete, Boca, movete. Here's Medina. On the left side, puts an interesting ball. Here's Roncaglia, makes it inside of the box. Careful with this one. It's a good ball towards the area, and the shot gets blocked along the way. Varela. Barco tries to chip inside of the area, not successful, and now Cortés. Varela. You see this team, and this team is very, very defensive. You don't see a lot of players that could possibly go on the attack. I mean, Romero, Benedetto, but...
Yeah, and you can look at certain players that are missing, but there's still enough out there, or there certainly should be at home when you're trailing by 1-0, just to show a little bit more urgency, in truth. I mean, the passing itself, the possession is still very pedestrian at times, going sideways and almost looking for inspiration, looking for who's going to be that player that takes it by the scruff of the neck and actually tries to make something happen. And at the moment, no one's doing that.
That's going to be a throw-in for Lanus. So far, very good job by the youngster, Aaron Anselmino. Here's De La Vega. Boca having trouble to clear that ball out, not able to. The play's still alive. Here's Leandro Diaz. De La Vega rolls it over the right side, tries to chip it in the box, looking for Diaz. That's going to be a ball for Boca.
You'd have to say 75 minutes almost played here. It's been far too comfortable for Lanus. I mean, they haven't shown a huge amount as an offensive threat themselves, but they've got themselves in front, and so far have been able to coast to some extent through this second half without being put under too much strain. Boca 70% possession in this game. What have they really got to show for it other than the block shot in the first half and the one good save that Acosta's had to make?
Sanchefinho. That's going to be a ball for Lanus. Lanus so far doing their thing, in their game, trying to slow down the pace of the game as well. And so far, pretty decent second half. We haven't seen them on the attack as much as we did in the first half, but it makes sense. It's normal. Another mistake in the back by Boca, having a lot of trouble getting rid of the ball. Here's Pepe San with a big number 9 on his forehead. Will he get a couple of minutes?
Probably. That's where we've normally seen him this season, coming in right at the tail end of games, usually for Leandro Diaz. Boca at the moment, as they suffer this defeat, Lanus will be going up to 4th in the table. But it's worth saying, going up to 4th, but they haven't been particularly good away from home. They haven't won away in the LPF in 7 away since back in February when they beat Estudiantes. So Boca had no real reason to fear this Lanus side, despite them being above them in the table. But it's just been, as I said before, too easy so far for the visitors.
Barco, here's Cortés. Alan Varela has Roncaglia to his far right, and that's exactly where the ball goes to. Another quick touch towards number 5. Boca little by little pushing their lines forward, making Lanus retreat as minutes go by. But of course, that clock is one of the worst enemies for Boca as the time is running out. They're still down by 1 goal. That wonderful header in the 45th minute by Leandro Diaz has Lanus taking the 3 points, and as we spoke with Peter, so far getting a pretty privileged spot on the table, top 4 for Lanus. Talleres playing right now, literally in a couple of minutes, if not already. So they're going to try to add points in the table as well. That's why this win is crucial for Lanus to keep their top 4, top 5 at least Here's Aguilar. Excellent work by number 33. That's one of the players. If this result manages to stay, that's definitely one of the players I want to highlight. Very, very sober, very solid in the back four. Felipe Aguilar, as Almiron still talks to his colleague. It's going to be a goal kick.
Yeah, I completely agree, Klaus. I think he and Christian Lemmer have really withstood anything that's come their way. Boca haven't necessarily stretched them a great deal and put them under anywhere near enough pressure, but that's why I think Lanus have looked so comfortable, because of those two.
Ooh, that looked like a foul. No? That looked like a foul to me. Referee says keep the action going. Cortés. It's a long ball down the right side. The good control by Roncaglia. Looking for options down the middle. Now Paul Fernandez shifting the ball down the middle. Decides to cross it over Cortés. Not a lot of options for Boca on the attack. There's not a lot of movement. Here's Roncaglia once again. Not a good pass by number 2. Another poor distribution. And now Juan Sanchez Minio finds Fernandez. Here's Pedro de la Vega. Lima.
Another attack there, Klaus, where, as you say, it's just static. And Boca just running out of ideas very quickly, going one way then the other before a misplaced pass just hands it to Lanus.
What a ball here for Benedetto. Careful with this one inside of the area. Benedetto! Nothing. Referee says nothing at all. And the referee was very confident about it as well. Now the response, Peter. Leandro Diaz. That's going to be a corner.
Well, we'll see it here. It's a good pass by Romero. Benedetto looks to come inside, but there's an arm across him there by Acosta. But look at Benedetto. Just throws himself as soon as he feels that arm across him in the attempt to win a penalty. And that's the stage that he and Boca are at, unfortunately, with 10 minutes to go. There's a real whiff of desperation about that.
Nothing whatsoever, ladies and gents. The action continues. We got a man down. Who's down? Who's
Belmonte.
Belmonte. Yep.
He's another one of those players, Thomas Belmonte, who always seems to be involved in any of those type of incidents.
Ladies and gents, a chance for Lanus. Ball towards the far post. Lima! And I don't think Javi Garcia meant to do what he did, but nevertheless, he did clear it out. It's going to be another corner.
Yeah, he gets just about enough behind the ball. Make sure he gets his body there. It's not the most orthodox of saves, but the veteran keeper manages to scoop it away from goal.
So far, Valentini has had a lot of trouble when it comes to air balls. It's a very tough battle there inside of the area as the referee has his eye on everyone. The ball makes his way in. Lima once again going for the header. And now, careful, because Boca might go on the counter-attack. It's a good ball down the right side towards Roncaglia, the control by number 2. As Benedetto distributes as well. Down the middle, here's Barco switching sides. Finds Medina. Good movement by number 36 on the right side. Lima after him. Good job by Lima. Good job by Lima. Very solid. We talked about Aguilar, but of course we got to talk about him as well. It's going to be another corner, Peter.
Yeah, decent break from Boca going left to right. And well defended once more by Lanus.
Ball inside of the area, still alive. Cleared. Here's Laucha Costa, and now Lanus on the counter. Here's De La Vega. Oh, no way. I hope it's one of those classic ones where you know you messed up, so you just pretend like you're injured. I really hope he didn't pull anything there. Great turn here by Medina. Foul. And now this one, very promising for Boca as Christian Lema gets into the book.
Third yellow card of the night for Lanus, going to Christian Lema, and that's his 5th yellow card of the season. So Lema will miss the game against Talleres on the 24th of this month. So a little bit of a break in the LPF until Lanus next play, but they will do so without this man. And this free kick is very much in Romero territory. De La Vega now down. This was the moment before, Klaus, that you were mentioning when he just pulled up. And when it's De La Vega, you're always a little bit worried, given the serious injuries that he's suffered with over the last couple of years. Lanus will make a double change, and De La Vega will be one of those who makes his way out. Coming on, Franco Trojanski in place of Pedro De La Vega. The other player making his way in will be Brian Aguirre.
Remember what happened the last time Trojanski managed to score here?
Yeah,
remember that?
Ended up being suspended for about 3 games.
3 games, yeah. But he was playing for Union, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't playing for Lanus yet.
No, it was when he was.
Ladies and gents, it could be the pair one. Yeah. Romero.
Just hearing Matias Esquivel was shown a yellow card on his way off the pitch for how long he took.
Ladies and gents, the chance for Boca as the ball makes its way inside of the area. Good header on the near post. I'm hearing we have a couple of substitutions, Peter, getting ready to come in. We'll go over them in just a second. I think it's a little too late for that, don't you think? But we'll see. Acosta, no problem whatsoever for number 42.
That's 2 changes in the attack for Boca with just a few minutes of normal time remaining. So we understand it's going to be Vasquez and Orsini going to be thrown in here to try and salvage something.
Trojanski. Fernandez. Here's Juan Sanchez Minio. It's a long cross. Not a good way to bring it down. Orozco. Cortez manages to get a good possession there. Good recovery as he finds Barco back towards Cortez. Another control by Alan Varela. Loses possession. And now another good ball down the right side. Is he going to make it? No, he's not going to make it. It's going to be a goal kick. But first, the substitutions.
Well, Riquelme never gives much away when you see him watching Boca, whether they're scoring or conceding goals, playing well, playing poorly. But it'll be another game where he'll be deeply disappointed as they do make that double change. Oscar Romero and Christian Medina are the 2 that we're going to make way. Luis Vasquez is on, and so too Nicolás Orsini.
Careful with this one, the chance for Benedetto! Is he offsides?
The hush around the ground would tell you that there has been a flag. VAR will of course check that. A lot of space though. As this pass in this moment. Paul Fernandes it is who gets in behind, leaving Benedetto with the tap in. Did Fernandes just go a fraction too soon? Very, very tight indeed. You see there from that angle as they're checking.
I think he's off, Peter. You've been a little lenient with the offsides. You're like, it could be.
Yeah, I mean, too many.
The camera's not the best one. That's for a fact.
I've looked at ones and thought, oh, it's off. Then we get the VAR check, the lines get drawn on, and they end up being level or just about onside. So I learnt my lesson just to try and hedge my bets a little bit more.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, like I said, the camera angle is not the best one also, so that doesn't help a lot.
Yeah, it's always difficult when the camera angle is like that, not actually looking along the line, and also when you're looking at two players going in opposite directions and the body shapes. I mean, you've got Paul Fernandes running to get in behind, Sanchez Miño looking to step up, and you're always unsure exactly where those lines are going to be drawn, or what part of the body is going to be taken as the point. And that's why we're having this fairly lengthy delay. Everyone huddled around monitors, trying to make their own minds as we tick over into stoppage time.
And it is a goal indeed, ladies and gents. Goal for Boca Benedetto. Well, there's a reason why Peter waits and I don't. Ladies and gents, Boca equalizes on stoppage time. Is 1-1.
You can never be sure. And Boca get thrown a bit of a lifeline there. It was a close one. You couldn't really tell from the angle, but in the end, Dario Benedetto's second LPF goal of the season does indeed cancel out Lanus's lead in stoppage time now. We'll have a good few minutes as well. 6 minutes we're hearing added on. And suddenly the mood inside La Bombonera is very different.
We still got time left, that's for sure. Careful with this one. It's a good ball towards Roncaglia. Another question is see onside. I wouldn't risk it anymore. No, that's for sure. Response by Lanus. Great cutoff down the middle. I think it was Barella with a slight challenge. That's going to be a throw-in for Boca. So far, rescuing a very, very important point.
And the late kickoff. Tejeras ahead early against Arsenal, continuing their superb form, and as things stand, going just 1 point behind River at the top of the table. This result, as things stand, means Lanus won't be going up into fourth. They'll stay 6th on 33 points, and Boca will remain in 10th for now on 28 points.
Cortés. Valentini. The ball makes it inside of the area. Careful with this one as Benedetto fights for it. Cortés outside. Vasquez doesn't go for it. Paul Fernandes as well tries to repossess the ball, and then goes down, but no infraction, says the ref. It's a throw-in. Play it quick. Varela. Barco. Nothing. Just a throw in. Luis Vasquez is going to try to go for that ball. Good combination here down the left side. Boca has a couple of men waiting inside of the area. 1, 2, 3, 4 to be more exact. That's a very high foot, and that's going to be a card for Alan Varela in a free kick in the back for Lanus.
Varela has made a difference since he's come on. He won the ball a good few times, and it's his pass there actually that releases Paul Fernandez for the goal. Spots him in the space, eventually ruled onside, and in the end it's very simple for Benedetto. Lanus just switching off there badly at the death, and it's cost them here what looks likely to have been 3 points. That's the challenge that Alan Varela has got into the book for. Laucha Acosta has stayed down here. Never quite sure with Acosta whether he's actually injured or not. Player of his experience, perhaps Boca on top in the game at 1-1. Will be just trying to run this one down as much as possible. He is back on his feet now.
Oh, that's a foul.
It's Brian Aguirre, the substitute, showing a yellow card this time. We've had our 6 minutes, Klaus. Just depends how much Fernando Echenique wants to add on top of that, because we've had a lot of stoppages during the 6. An extra 1, I think he just signalled there.
Torjanski not able to control it properly. Now the ball picked up by Boca once again. Here's Paul Fernandez. Roncaglia. Now Varela. Barco finds Cortés. Boca trying to make a heroic win here in the last couple of seconds. Lema clears this one out. Right at the edge of the area. Here's Benedetto with his back against the goal. Has to distribute. Paul Fernandez once again. Great cross inside of the area. The header! That was a great one by Luis Vasquez. But very, very focused and concentrated was Lucas Acosta.
Yeah, that'll probably be it now. I think this is the goal again. You see the VAR review. The judge just to be onside. And again, it was down that right. They just created that last chance. Vasquez, a good header on target, saved by Acosta. And Klaus, it proves to be the last chance for Boca.
Ladies and gents, the final whistle here at La Bombonera. Can't really complain. We talked about a game that maybe gave us 6-7 points. I think we ended up with a little higher, maybe 8-9. A little entertaining, especially towards the last couple of minutes. When Boca was determined to go for it, they went for it. I think it was a little too late. We spoke about that, Peter, but at the end of the day, pretty entertaining match.
Yeah, in the end, Boca probably deserved a point. I mean, Lanus didn't show a great deal, especially after going in front. So in this second half, they looked to sit and contain. I think the complaint with Boca that for a large part of that second half, when they were supposed to be chasing the game. They didn't show a lot of urgency, and really until they got that breakthrough almost in the 90th minute was only when they started going hunting, looking to try and win it. So in the end, you can't really begrudge them getting a point, but it would have been difficult to argue that that performance from Boca warranted all three.
Couple of comments there from Frank Willick against the referee. Ladies and gents, as always, a pleasure. Peter, back to you. See you soon, brother.
Thanks, Klaus. Before we leave you, we'll take a look back at the highlights from this one at La Bombonera. And we'll just update you on the other results from tonight. Platense winning 1-0 earlier tonight against Tigre. Currently, Talleres leading Arsenal by 1-0. But here at La Bombonera, it ended 1 apiece between Boca and Lanus in the first half. Boca with plenty of possession, couldn't find their way through. Dario Benedetto coming very close to the opening goal, latching onto this wonderful ball in behind by Valentin Barco, the teenager. Away from Aguilar, away from Lema, pulling the trigger, only for Juan Sanchez Miño to spread himself in front of the shot and make the vital block to save Lanus and ensure that it stayed 0-0. Lanus certainly had their moments in the first half as well. A great save by Javier Garcia, denied Tomas Belmonte. The follow-up save on De La Vega, equally impressive. It wouldn't have counted, as we see there. De La Vega was offside as he tried to latch onto the rebound. But Garcia nonetheless keeping Boca level. In the first half, in which both teams did have their moments, even if they lacked that little bit of quality. This was another excellent save at the other end as Acosta got down quickly to deny Oscar Romero. Boca working it down that right channel. Good cross in. And Romero's late run timed perfectly and almost giving Boca their breakthrough, were it not for the intervention of Lucas Acosta. Getting down sharply to palm that one away. And then just before the break, we got the game's first goal. Leandro Diaz pouncing on the mistake initially here by Medina as he got caught in possession. Sanchez Miño with a great delivery into the box, and the aerial prowess of Leandro Diaz was too much for Nicolas Valentini. Just making that little darting movement to get that yard in front of Valentini and plant the header into that bottom corner. Garcia could only watch as Loco Diaz got his 10th goal of the season. That was right before half-time, giving Lanus that 1-goal lead. The big question was what kind of performance we'd see from Boca in the second half, and it was awfully flat for a large part of it. Diaz came close to getting his second. The flag did go up. We would have had a VAR